Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tooth and Claw Podcast. We have Mike Smith.
Hey,
he's over there. Hey, Mike.
He is a English major. And then we got our bear biologist, Wes Larson.
That's me.
And no one can smell a bear faster than Wes.
Yep, just follow my nose. I'm like that toucan.
And I was Wes's field tech with some bear work. I studied some business in college.
Sure.
If you need business advice,
He's your guy.
you could come to me.
Uh-huh.
I'm
You'll
an
get
expert.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's cheap.
So yeah, that's us, Tooth and Claw.
What do you guys think of the Winter Olympics? What's your vibe on the Winter Olympics? Mike, I know you love the Summer Olympics.
no, baby.
I'm gonna answer that myself before I even let you answer. I like the Winter Olympics more because I feel like they do just crazy. Like I was watching the ski jump, like the far one. I forget what it's called, big jump or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's got to feel better than anything in the entire world. Just launching off this ramp and sailing like hundreds of meters just has to feel amazing.
Better
It
than
is a
when
lot.
people twist your toes in their fingers during a pedicure.
Yeah, I think it's better than that.
I love that feeling.
It's a lot more intense for sure. It's like Summer Olympics, it's just like who can run the fastest, who can jump the furthest, who can swim the fastest. And this one, it's like who can slide the fastest with knives on their feet, who can go fast for a little bit and then jump as far as they can. And if they don't land on their feet, they lose. And they almost die.
Let's go 1 billion miles per hour on a sled down a luge.
Head first. So sweet.
Yeah.
No, I love the Winter Olympics.
I love that it's like Norway's time to shine. You know, it's like Norway is finally like, this is us, you know?
Yeah.
I've been loving them. I actually have really gotten into the Olympic spirit, and it's been fun to watch and kind of root for Japan because we were just in Japan. I feel like a lot of their athletes are very likable.
I like their snowboarders.
All right, we're going to do a bear episode, and there's a few reasons I want to do another bear one. Part of it is I have a two-parter coming that has nothing to do with bears that I'm really excited about. And then we have a couple other episodes scheduled after that aren't bear episodes. And it's going to be a minute before we have another one. So I wanted to do a fun bear episode. And they're definitely the ones we have the most of. And then also, I get a lot of questions from people saying, what bear spray should I buy? And I tell them they're pretty much all the same, and they are. I have actually been working on my own bear spray, and it is going to be an improvement over the existing bear spray. I'm really excited about it. I have some partners. We've been working on it for years. That's coming out probably this fall. So I'm not telling people to wait to buy bear spray. If you're going into bear country, definitely just grab a can. But if you aren't needing to buy it, you should wait for mine because I'm really excited
Fall's
about it.
kind of a bad time to release your bear spray.
It is a little late. It'll be hopefully before like hunting season and stuff for people. But yeah, I mean, it's as quick as we probably can get it out.
What flavor
But
is
I'm
it?
excited to talk more about it. Cherry, black cherry flavor.
Oh my gosh.
No,
you know
it's not.
just what I like. You know how to sell.
No, we'll talk about it more. But again, don't wait
I'm
for
excited
it if you need
about
bear
it
spray.
because you said what? If you make $10 million, me, Mike, and Brent all get $1 million or something.
I think I might have said that.
Hey, nice.
Yeah. I think I've already promised away my first 10 million if I do happen to get rich from this bear spray, which is fine. I don't think people should be that rich. Well, 10 millionaires I think is okay actually. But
Wow. You're really tightening that belt.
Dude,
yeah.
wait till he gets to 10 million and see what he says.
just going to hold on to it.
He'll be like,
No, I would
actually,
definitely
30 millionaires are fine too.
You guys would get some money for sure. $1 million. Why not?
Oh, I don't like money at all. I'm a better person than you because of how little I like money.
It's not that I dislike money. I don't think people should hoard money.
I see.
When so many people need it. All right, I got a question for you guys to start off this episode. What does the name Doogie Dowler make you think of?
Doogie Howser, right?
Correct.
I thought of a go-kart.
I like that too. It's also a great answer.
Okay.
Doogie Howser,
the Dougie.
the Dougie.
Who's the country singer that doesn't know how to do the Dougie?
Ain't a damn one know how to do the Dougie. No, I'm not in Kentucky.
Do you remember
I
that
don't
song? He's like, I don't do the Dougie.
I don't do the Dougie. I just fish and wear my boots.
That's all he does.
Doogie Howser.
Wes watched the Turning Point halftime.
Yeah. I just want to fish and camp and wear my boots and mow my grass. All right. So when I was a kid, there's a show on TV called Doogie Howser. And it makes me feel a little old that probably a lot of you don't know who this is or what this was.
I actually don't know who it is.
It's Neil Patrick Harris's first role.
Oh.
And he, as a child actor, he acted as this doctor who's 14 years old and is like the best doctor in the world. He's a child prodigy, graduated medical school when he was 10, became a full-fledged doctor at 14, and it was a weekly show of like his kind of challenges being a child doctor. Great show.
It's one of the rare moments where someone is cast as a 14-year-old and they look like they are 14 years old.
He looks like a child. He looks younger than 14 when you look at photos of this. Anyway, that's what I thought of. Has nothing to do with this episode aside from the name Doogie Dowler is in the episode.
Okay.
Thanks for taking us down that road.
I have some sources.
Who idiots again.
I have some sources here. One of my main sources was actually another podcast called Storytime with Seth Rogen. If you probably know that name, Seth Rogen.
Who that is, Jeff.
He did this story.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The episode is called The Ballad of Mount Doogie Dowler. Outside Magazine did an article on this. Reader's Digest did a story on this. Those were all sources that I used in prepping this episode. Okay.
Don't listen to him. Listen to us.
Doogie, it's a great episode. It's really good. I do recommend it. Doogie Dowler, though, isn't a show about a teenage wonder kid doctor that finished medical school when he's 10. It's a mountain in coastal British Columbia near Campbell River, and really near the top end of Vancouver Island. It's also named after someone who's pretty cool. So nearby, there's a little island called Quadra Island, and on that island, there's yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I really am.
No,
But
it's fine.
so is Doogie Dowler all one word, or is it two different?
2 words. It's a first and last name.
The mountain has a first and a last name for a mountain?
It sure does, Mike.
What's Everest's last name? Or is that its last name?
Ev.
Mark?
Rest.
Could be,
Everest.
Eve.
All right.
Interesting. K2, I guess, is 2 names. Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Too. Nearby Quadra Island has this little community on it, though. And in 1956, Doogie Dowler moved to the island, and he started to run a small grocery store and a post office with his family. The store became something of a community meeting point, and stores like that, little grocery stores, are really the lifeblood of these tiny rural communities. And Doogie became really well known, well liked, and well respected around town, which is a triple threat. You know, if you can have those 3 things, you're sitting pretty in a town like Quadra Island. He did a lot of
hard. It's kind of hard just to have like one of those.
Yeah, well liked but not well respected.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of people like that. He did, well, not a lot, but some. He did a lot of other stuff for this community, though, and he'd become a really important fixture around Quadra Island. This is both from running the store, being the postmaster, all of that. And a cool thing about Doogie is from the front of his store and from his house, there was a great view of this really prominent mountain that had 2 peaks that kind of looked like the rise and then the folds on the top of a cowboy hat. And it wasn't officially named. Everyone just called it Cowboy Hat Mountain. So when Doogie died in the early 1980s, some of the other prominent community members decided to name that mountain Doogie Dowler. And I'm sure it had an indigenous name that they kind of just steamrolled over. But I don't really understand how you do that. How you just say like, hey, let's just name this mountain after this guy that just died. But they went ahead and did it. And they went through the right channels, I think, because if you look up this mountain on like Google Maps, it comes up, Mount Doogie Dowler. I don't think it was just like a nickname.
It's pretty cool for him.
It is cool. It's a great name for a mountain too, in my opinion. His
Mike's
kids and
not
his
sold on it yet.
You don't like Mount?
He's confused by the 2 names.
Mount Doogie does sound pretty good. I kind of like Mount Doogie Dowler though. I think it rolls off
I'm
the
coming
tongue.
around. You know what? I'm sold. I'm back in, boys.
All right. Doogie Dowler's
Mount
back
Mike
on the menu.
Smith.
So Doogie's kids and his grandkids grow up on Quadra Island as well, and one of those grandkids was Colin Dowler. And Colin really seemed to love growing up in a place like Quadra Island. He's incredibly outdoorsy. He's fascinated by the natural world and wildlife and pushing his body. And that even like the TV they had in their house had a really flimsy antenna and was always malfunctioning. So he hardly ever watched TV and just really spent his entire childhood outdoors. He's also a short king. I could only find articles that said he's shorter than 5'8", which is a real short guy way to tell someone your height. Like when you start just using a benchmark that you're shorter than that, you're probably like 5'5", 5'6". I'm 5'8". I think I'm right on the like crux of what you could call me short. I would say I'm short.
I never thought of you as like a short person.
Yeah.
Never.
I think
never
I was
think like, wow, notably short.
growing up, but yeah, I don't feel that way. Anyway, he only weighed about 125 pounds as well. So this is like, he's a pretty small dude, but everyone just talks about how tough and scrappy and just kind of wild he was too. So you kind of got that mental image,
Kind of like
which is
Smeagol.
important. Kind of like Smeagol. Yeah, I think he's very similar. This story takes place when he's about to turn 45. And at this point,
he's a pretty good short king, right?
He's a short king, for sure. We're going to have our favorite short king category, but I think Smeagol's a great entry into that.
Spoiler, my answer is Smeagol.
Yeah. What was he again? He's a halfling, but was he a hobbit?
I thought he's a hobbit, but it's like some different group of hobbits or
Yeah,
something.
I think that's what it is. So at this point, Colin had married, he had a kid, he'd moved to a bigger town on Vancouver Island, Campbell River, but he still thought about Mount Doogie Dowler all the time. And part of the reason was because it was named after his grandpa, and part of the reason was because no one had ever actually summited Mount Doogie Dowler. And Colin and his brother Paul, they wanted to be the first. And it's a pretty imposing mountain. I get why no one summited it. It almost always has snow on it. It's very steep. They had tried in their 20s, but they had to turn back because of bad weather. And someone else had tried when Colin was young, and they fell 800 feet to their death.
Holy moly.
If you've ever been to British Columbia, coastal British Columbia, there are so many mountain peaks, and so many of them are wild. Like there's no infrastructure, no trails, just thick brush. Unbelievably thick and thorny brush to get through, and then really treacherous rocky slopes to get up to the top. But in 2019, Colin and his brother decided they would start making plans to summit the mountain. In July of that year, just a few days before Colin's 45th birthday, he told his wife he was going to take some time off work and do a short reconnaissance trip to Mount Doogie Dowler and try and find the right route for when he and his brother would climb the mountain. It would require a boat ride, a kayak ride, a bike ride, and then a long hike and some night camping alone. The bike ride would be on one logging road that like ran 8 miles up the mountain, but that was it.
How'd they bring a bike on their kayaks? They
I think it just like strap it to it. And it's just Colin doing this. He just kind of had some free time and decided he would do it on his own. And his wife had
a tiny bike because he's a little
one of those
guy,
one of those little clowns.
like a clown bike. I think it'd be easy to get one of those onto a kayak.
But does he have a tiny kayak too? You know, like that's the thing.
Shoot! Oh my gosh, everything's scaled down.
This bear's gonna eat him in one bite. All right,
bear.
Yeah, I mean, I already spoiled that. All right, his wife had a really bad feeling about this trip, and she told Colin not to go. And when they were talking about it, he even said, I never really read any statistics that say you are more likely to be attacked by a grizzly by yourself than with other people, right? And his wife said, yeah, I guess I haven't either. Now, if any of our listeners ever say that, I'm going to come to your house, and I'm going to pinch you. I'm going to pinch you hard. Because is that true, Jeff?
That he hasn't read those statistics?
No. Do those statistics exist? Does it say that you're not more likely to be attacked by yourself?
There is a lot of statistics out there that say if you're by yourself, you're going to get attacked.
You're not going to be, but you are much more likely to be attacked. It is one of the biggest factors in grizzly bear attacks. And I'm going to kind of do things different this episode where there's not going to be a break to go over like biology, But as we go through the story, I'm going to remind people about some of the bear safety stuff you've learned over the years with Tooth and Claw. And that's the first reminder that groups of people are much less likely to be attacked by a grizzly bear, especially groups of 3 or more. If you are by yourself, you are taking a much bigger risk than you would be with even just one other person with you.
But who even made up those statistics?
Bear biologists that have worked closely with these attacks and that have learned a lot of good insights from them.
What if it's 3 kids in a trench coat all stacked up on each other's shoulders?
I don't think that would be effective, but I think it would maybe be confusing for a minute for the bear.
That's all you need is a minute.
I think it's worse, right, than 3 kids?
Yeah, I think that's worse than just having 3 kids that are like a unified.
One giant?
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just saying, people do that.
Question. I don't think we have any data points for that.
Like if you're going to an R-rated movie and you're a child.
And you get attacked by a grizzly bear on the way.
Trust these scientists and their statistics is they haven't tried that.
Yeah. That's a good point.
What if it was 3 regular-sized adults on each other's shoulders in a really long trench coat?
I do think that would be intimidating to a bear. I think it would kind of be like, what am I dealing with here? Yeah.
See, there's plenty of studies for all you kids out there who are aspiring to be bear biologists and think there's not a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
Just think outside the
There's
box.
a lot you
Colin
can do out
would
there.
need like 4
Yeah.
people probably.
And a regular-sized coat for all 3 of them.
All right.
Is there any better feeling in the world than going from really disorganized to super organized in the snap of a finger? Let me explain. So I just moved into a new apartment and I just had stuff laying out everywhere, all over the floors, and I got overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, so I hired some cleaners. I told them not to clean a single thing, just put things away for me. And you know what? It was the best decision ever. It made me feel so much better. My place got so organized so fast. Well, that's how I feel about Rocket Money with my finances. I didn't know what I was doing with my finances. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to track down all my spending. So I was like, hey, Rocket Money, just do it for me. And they did. With a snap of a finger, I knew how much I was spending in different areas. I could find subscriptions that I had no idea I even had, like for some dumb animal podcast or whatever. And it really helped me get my finances organized and save some money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. So if you're disorganized at all like I am, please get Rocket Money. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/claw. That's rocketmoney.com/claw. rocketmoney.com/claw. And please put in the claw so that they know we sent you there.
All right, so he decided to go even with his wife's misgivings, and as he left the house, he said something akin to what he always said, which was, if I'm not back by 8 o'clock Sunday night, you can start worrying about me. So he would always give her like a time and a day where she could start worrying. Colin had put this trip together pretty quickly, and he wanted to travel lightly, so he brought a little bivvy instead of a tent. He brought minimal food, his backpack, and a bike. He had planned to run by his dad's house to grab a can of bear spray right before getting on the boat that would take him to the right bay on the mainland, but he didn't have time, and he decided he really didn't need bear spray because he had seen countless black bears on his excursions and only a couple grizzlies, so he wasn't really worried.
That's bad reasoning.
Yeah, I've seen tons of bears, but I don't need bear spray.
But for a guy like him, he sounds like he's tough and he's scrappy. Like against a black bear, I'm taking Colin.
He knows bears pretty well too, and he knows that the chances of being attacked by a black bear are really slim. But what he might not have known is that mainland British Columbia, just, right across the strait from where he lived on Quadra Island, was really great grizzly bear habitat. So even though Vancouver Island isn't, and Quadra Island probably only had black bears, just across the strait, there are prime grizzly bear spots. So prime, in fact, that the grizzly bear viewing industry is doing really well in this area. It's not a spot I would want to be traveling and bushwhacking alone without bear spray. There are definitely a lot of grizzly bears around.
For him too, I feel like when you are in nature that much, when you're outdoors that much, and you, like, he's encountered a lot of bears, he's gotten a little too comfortable type of thing, you know?
Yep.
It's like,
Sure.
it's
It
like,
happens to
yeah,
all
I've
of
been
us.
close to bears before. They don't bother me. I don't bother them type of thing, you know?
Exactly.
I can relate.
I mean, even us, like, there's been plenty of times where I've gone fishing and I realize as I'm on the way that I'm entering grizzly bear habitat and that I forgot bear spray. And sometimes I just go for it, you know, and like, that's not right, but it does happen. So I do understand how this happened to him. But I will say, if I was like bushwhacking up a mountain and camping by myself, I would feel very, very uncomfortable without bear spray or without a
I
deterrent.
only ever bushwhack by myself.
You
I don't like to
only
do it in the
ever-
company of others.
And you always have your bear spray.
Yeah, right. Just in case my mom bursts in the room, gotta deter her.
Ghost?
Oh my gosh,
You're gonna
she's
need
always watching me.
Yeah. You're going to need a proton pack for that, not bear spray.
You
Right.
think she's in there watching you?
Yeah, of course.
She did die in the house you're in, right?
She did. Yeah, she's in the walls.
So it could be like she got stuck in there type of situation.
All right. So Colin takes his little boat to this bay where he's getting to the beginning of this logging road. And he's actually completely astounded because he runs into other people there. And he really shouldn't be, because this is out in the middle of nowhere. But specifically, he runs into a cook that is from a logging camp. And they chat a bit.
Really interesting.
Yeah, it's like if you were to go, you know, way up into the Bob Marshall Wilderness, and as you're starting your hike, there's a camp, you know, where you didn't think you would ever see anyone.
Kinda. This seems
yeah.
more extreme than that.
Yeah, this is even more so. But they chat. He tells him what he's doing, and this cook actually asks him if he needs anything. And Colin says, yeah, I actually need some bear spray. And the cook brings him a brand new bottle, and Colin
amazing.
he stuffs this bear spray into his pocket. So let's talk for a second about where you should carry your bear spray. What do you guys think?
Your bear spray holster.
It's a good
On your
answer.
belt. Yeah. But then
your
sometimes
belt's a
I
good
don't
spot.
wear a belt.
So really what you want is to carry it in the same spot every time you go, and it needs to be somewhere where you can quickly grab it and somewhere it's secure. Those are the three things. So for me, I really like having it on my belt, on my right hip. That's just where it's always at. It's where I carried it when I was in Yellowstone every single day. And I just have that muscle memory of that's where I would go. If you have a chest holster, that's fine. If it's on your left hip, that's fine. It can be in your pocket, but as we're going to learn, that's not always the best place for it. It can get caught as you're pulling it out, or it's maybe easier to lose. So the main thing, though, is you don't want it in your backpack or somewhere where you can access it really quickly. So the things to remember is always in the same spot, so you have muscle memory, and then somewhere where you can quickly get it. Okay, this cook actually offers him a ride up this gravel road, which is like 8 miles, so saves him a lot of time. He gladly accepts it. 8 Mile, yeah. I think that's where they were probably in Detroit, right?
Did they
have to be.
Did they have a rap battle
Yeah, they had a rap battle before they
with
left.
the bear? Yeah.
He doesn't need his bike to get up there.
Wait, so the cook drove there?
The cook, yeah. So they take a boat to this logging road with like their truck and everything on it, and then they had an 8 mile logging road that just goes up into the mountain, just one road, and it was to take their crews up to the top so they could log and then bring them back down, and then they would send logs out on boats and barges and stuff.
Gotcha.
So he takes Colin up to this top of the road. Colin stashes his bike in the bushes right there. And this cook grabs his camera to take a picture of Colin. And he says to put on the milk cartons in case you don't return, which is, you know, kind of
Whoa.
a bit of a, yeah, I don't know what the word is.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, yeah.
Harbinger of doom.
A bit of a harbinger of doom. Yes, a bit of a foreshadowing.
That's what I would call that guy.
All right, so Colin starts hiking up through this really thick brush and almost immediately is noticing a lot of bear sign and is stepping over a lot of fresh piles of bear scat. He's making plenty of noise. He's yelling out. He's continuing to make his way through the forest and uphill, but it's really slow going, and the brush was so thick he couldn't even see his feet, so he has to take a number of breaks to rest and get his bearings.
When you see fresh bear scat on a trail you're on, what's your advice at that point? Do you just turn around, go home, or
No.
you veer off in another direction, or what?
My advice would be you increase your alertness. You maybe take your safety off your bear spray. You just become a little bit more alert, or maybe carry it in your hand from there. It depends on how fresh. Like if it's steaming, if I know a bear was just there, then I have it in my hand and I'm ready to go. But if it's like looks like it's maybe a few hours old, I'm just gonna be aware then that there's a bear in the area and that I have to be even more alert than before.
If you see the bear going to the bathroom actively, do you turn around and give him the privacy, or do you keep your eyes on it just to make sure you're safe?
I keep my eyes on that, Mike.
Yeah,
that's just
right.
Then you can answer that question, that age-old question: does a bear shit in the woods? You finally have your answer.
Right, you want to be
All right.
the eyewitness.
So during one of these breaks, while Colin is sitting on a fallen log and looking at his GPS, his bear spray slips out of his pocket and he doesn't notice.
Oh, that's not good.
That's not good. Colin hikes a good way before he realizes he lost his bear spray, and he doesn't want to go back down and look for it, but thinks he'll probably find it on his way back down the mountain. So he hikes until around 5 p.m., and as he's starting to get into the subalpine country, he stops, makes his camp, and goes to sleep. You guys think this is going to be a campsite attack, or is he going to make it through the night without any problems?
Campsite attack.
I'll go. He makes it through safe.
He makes it through safe. Gets through the night with no issues. Yeah.
I owned you, Jeff. I won.
Yeah.
I'm a winner.
I owe you $100.
Nice.
That was for $100. I forgot to say that at the beginning, but that was a $100 bet. In the morning, he breaks his camp down and starts heading down the mountain, careful to look for his bear spray along the way. He continues to see a lot of bear sign and a lot of berry bushes that had obvious signs of bear foraging, but still no bears and no bear spray. And by around 11 a.m., he'd made it back down to the top of the gravel road where he'd stashed his bike. And he gets a little euphoric getting onto his bike. The hard part of the trip was over. He's scouted out this potential route to climb the mountain, and he's cruising pretty fast down the road, thinking about his birthday tomorrow, about hanging out with his wife and his kid, about having a few beers. And as all of these thoughts are passing through his head, a grizzly bear walks out onto the road about 80 feet in front of Colin.
Wow.
Now, this may seem kind of ironic to people that Colin spent all of this time in thick brush in great forest and never saw a bear, but then as soon as he got onto this logging road, he ran into one. But this actually makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
That's
I would say the milk carton line was more ironic.
Yeah, that is maybe. Isn't it ironic?
Yeah, rain on your wedding day.
Bears and wildlife often use roads, especially roads that don't have hardly any human traffic like this one. Like this road sees hardly anyone on it, because they offer a really effective obstacle-free way for them to move through their habitat. So like in Yellowstone, there's places where there's power lines running through the park, and there'll be a clear cut around these power lines so that the power company can access them. And it was actually a place we would always look for bears, because bears would walk that clear cut, because it's just like a really easy way for them to move through their habitat. And it's also like usually pretty good food in those spots. It's productive habitat where there's good berry bushes, roots, grasses, and a lot of other food sources.
So that's one good thing about deforestation. For bears.
Yeah. Grizzly bears do really well in disturbed habitat. They do. Like you still need some forest, but they really like the edges of forest because it creates this really good productive habitat for them. Jeff, I know you were joking there, but in a way, there have been some studies that show that these places that have like pocket deforestation, so it's still like a wild ecosystem, but there's little pockets where they've deforested, that bears do really well, and they use those areas because the stuff that grows up after you take out some of those trees is often food. So
well, and
yeah.
like it makes sense because they weren't necessarily mountain animals until we made them that, right? They used to
Exactly.
be more in the plains and more in open spaces when they could.
Yeah, and they really like foraging, digging for roots, digging for, grass and forbs, all these different things that they can find on the ground. And those things often sprout up in places that have lost their primary cover.
Do you ever
Dude,
think
if
of
they
bears?
Go ahead.
I was gonna make a real stupid joke, and now it's over. It's
No,
too
do
late.
it.
We said it at the exact same time, and then
Yeah.
I let
No,
you go.
I was glad to bail because it was gonna be real stupid. So
Say
Mine's
it.
bad
it's all
too.
you.
I was gonna say, what if they found hidden treasure?
Oh
Like,
my god,
they
are you
prob-
serious right now? That's
We had the
exactly
same-
what my joke was gonna be. Oh,
I tried to let you say it.
it's fine.
I'm trying to figure out how that thought popped into both of your heads, and it's not really making a lot of
Well,
sense
I
to me.
mean, I feel like if I dug as much as a grizzly bear digs, I would
Oh,
find
I get
treasure.
what you're
Eventually.
saying.
But
Yeah.
then, like, if I'm a grizzly bear, I probably wouldn't understand the
Okay.
value.
Right.
I think that's probably very true. All right. All of this is to say an old logging road is actually pretty great habitat for a grizzly bear.
Like,
I
to a
would
grizzly
expect-
bear, it's valueless.
You're right.
Yeah. No, we gotta stay on this for a minute. Because
Okay.
who does that belong to? It's the bears by right, I would say.
Yeah.
In the Count of Monte Cristo, where he finds all that treasure, he becomes the richest man in the world. He gets his revenge. If that was a bear, the bear would be like, this isn't food.
Yeah.
If only the bears understood the basics of,
Economy, money.
Of using treasure
could
to buy
exchange
food.
treasure for goods and services. They could
You
buy
guys wanna
all the
just give me a call
berries
when
they
you're done
wanted.
with this, and I'll be ready to keep going.
Man,
Sorry.
dude, we taught bears to ride unicycles. We could teach one to like give a cashier a coin for blueberries.
Oh, that's a good transition,
For
actually, though.
blueberries.
Because he's on his bike and the bear's looking at him right now.
I didn't finish my sentence, Wes. I meant
I
blueberries.
know I said I was going to let this run its
basket.
course, but I am going to cut it off. An old logging road is great habitat for a grizzly bear. I would expect to see one more on this road than I would bushwhacking in dense forest. This is the kind of place you would see them. And Colin pretty much immediately knows that this is a grizzly bear because he had seen so many black bears. This bear looked bigger, different, with a more rounded flat face and a pronounced hump. Also, black bears in this area are almost always black, and this was a brown-colored bear. And I wanted to take a second about bear ID because something I've been thinking about a lot lately is how many bear professionals, myself included, tell people color isn't, you shouldn't use color, you shouldn't do that. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I do think color is your first really good clue about what bear you might be looking at, and sometimes it is enough. Like if you see a jet black bear, it's almost certainly going to be a black bear if you're in North America. If you see a bear that's like brown with really light blonde colored tips, there's a very good chance that it's a grizzly bear if you're in grizzly bear country. If you see one that's like cinnamon colored, it's probably a black bear. So that's your first really good clue.
If you see a white bear, it's probably a polar bear. It could be a black bear, though.
Depends. Or it could be a grizzly. There's been white grizzlies too. Yeah, spirit bears though are like much more common than a white grizzly for sure.
It could be a panda if you only see like a very small portion of it through the bushes.
Yeah. Maybe you're the colorblind and you can't see black.
Or maybe you're all blind.
Yeah, that's true. Then it could be anything.
Can't see anything.
It might be a car. Get out of the way. All right.
Oh gosh.
So this is a relatively large grizzly bear, and Colin immediately yells, "Hey bear," to let it know that he was there. But instead of running away, the bear just turned and looked at him, then looked back at the brush where it had just come from, and then looked back at Colin. Colin mentally was pleading with this bear to just go back into the brush and leave him alone, and then it turned and started walking straight toward him.
Wow.
So
It's
Colin-
interesting. This is our first real story where someone's on a bike.
Yeah, that was why I wanted to pick this one, actually. It's kind of an interesting scenario, and we're going to talk about that a bit. He's in a bit of a pickle because he knows that he has to try and discourage this bear from approaching him. So he swings his backpack onto his front, he grabs his hiking poles, and he extends them and starts knocking them together and banging them on his bicycle and yelling. But this bear keeps coming, and it's kind of swinging its head and huffing while it walks towards Colin. When this bear's about 30 feet away, he starts getting nervous, and he didn't want to be on his bike, like straddling it, because he felt like he had a limited range of movement. So he hops off the bike, and that movement actually makes the bear do a tiny little bluff charge and scrape its claws on the gravel. And then it stops for a second, but then keeps coming when Colin stands there frozen in place, holding his bike. Then this bear walks to where it was just a few feet from Colin and his bike. And then as he stands there totally still, it slowly walks by him and the bike, close enough that he could reach out and touch it.
Wow.
Which he doesn't do, but he could have. He can't believe what's happening, and he kind of feels like this grizzly bear is just going to pass him a few feet away, and then he's just going to have a hell of a story to tell when he gets home that no one's going to believe. And as this bear as its butt is just inches from passing the end of his bike, it flips 180 degrees around and comes at Colin, and he has just enough time to get one of his poles in between him and the bear and push at the bear's forehead with it. And so he kind of like puts this hiking pole right against the bear's forehead and then pushes, and it kind of seems to work. Like, this bear hasn't fully launched a charge yet. It's more just still investigating him. So he's keeping pressure on it and kind of keeping it away from him. And it's working a little bit. And then suddenly the bear just rolls its head, snaps into this pole and breaks it and kind of pulls it away from him a bit. So it's broken in the middle, and they're kind of doing this tug of war thing with it. And Colin says out loud, "Oh, come on now. We don't need to do this. I'm your friend."
This is so interesting. A bear that's like 10% like, might attack you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it gets elevated even more, but just like at the start, it just feels like the bear was kind of winging it, you know?
I think you're right. I think this bear is investigating him as food. I really do. I think it is thinking, I'm going to check this out. This might be food. And it's still a little nervous and not totally sure what it should do at this point.
So is this hiking pole scenario, I know we've talked about with like sharks and stuff, they always teach you to put something between you and the predator or the animal that's, you know, posing a threat. Is that a thing for bears at all? If you have like a sword, if you had, or some kind of like a spear or something, is that going to deter them, or are they just going to like not really understand what that would signify?
It's last resort is what I would say. Like,
sure,
if you are completely out of options and this bear's not leaving, sure. But I also think you run a pretty big risk of just antagonizing it by touching it with anything.
What about,
that's the same with sharks. Like, if you actually make contact with the shark, it might actually charge in and bite you because you're antagonizing it.
What about in like 1700s Japan, a samurai where there's grizzly bears?
Yeah, I think the samurai should probably
sword?
try and use his sword. That's all he has. Yeah, it's worth it.
We should have asked some samurai while we were there if they did that.
Yeah, you should have.
Shoot.
Okay.
Next time.
So the bear drops the pole and moves toward Colin again. And Colin decides that he's going to have to get a little bit more aggressive to deter this bear. So he throws his backpack on the ground near the bear. There's some food in this backpack still, so he's hoping that it might go for the pack. And when that doesn't work, he picks up his bike, which is tiny, so I'm sure he can pick it up really easily. And he throws it at the bear. And that actually kind of is enough for this bear. It decides it's going to go ahead and attack. So it clears the bike. In a single lunge, it bites into Colin's side between his hips and his ribs and lifts him off the ground. Kind of like if Mike bit into a big hot dog sideways. That's kind of what this would look like.
Not the best strategy for speed, but I'm going to try that.
There's a funny little blip on social media was that like one day where someone dressed up as Justin Bieber and ate a burrito sideways.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was like, Justin Bieber doesn't know how to eat a burrito.
That's so funny that that's what you decide to do. But that is, it worked. It's perfect. I didn't realize that was a fake Justin Bieber. I still thought that was Justin Bieber.
Some guy dressed up as him and made it look like he could eat a burrito.
Yeah, so picture that. That's what this bear's doing to Colin.
Ouch.
He's being actually carried in this bear's jaws toward the brush. He says he thinks his foot may have been dragging, but aside from that, this bear has him totally in the air. It's carrying him in its jaws, toward the brush. And he said that he had this thought that if the bear took him off of the road and into the brush, he would probably die. So as they're making it toward the brush, the bear sets him down on the side of the road, kind of in this little ditch, and bites into him again, sinking its teeth deeper into both his back and his abdomen, and then it starts moving him toward the brush once again. And I do again think now that this is a predatory attack. I think this bear is trying to get him to a spot where it can dispatch him and eat him that isn't so open. So Colin decides he's going to have to fight back, which is appropriate in this circumstance. You do want to fight back. He starts trying to gouge the eyes out of this bear. He pulls on the hair on its face. He's doing everything he can to try and annoy this bear, and it does kind of work. It drops him, and then it moves down to his leg where it can kind of chew on him and bite him without him being able to reach it as well. And it starts biting into his leg repeatedly. And at this point, I think it's kind of antagonized because it's doing these aggressive bites that are leaving puncture wounds, but it's not necessarily at this point stripping away big pieces of flesh like it's eating. It's just, doing these really aggressive bites. And it would bite one leg mostly. Every once in a while it would bite the other one, but it's mostly focused on one of his legs. And Colin decides what he's going to do now is reach down, put his hands in the bear's mouth. This feels like a very Jeff-coded thing to do to this bear.
Yeah. It's good.
And try and peel its mouth off of his leg. So he shoves his fingers into its gums and tries to peel it back with all of his strength, and the bear bites into his hand, right into the ball of his thumb, and then goes back to chewing on his leg. So in this case, Jeff, it wasn't a very effective
I will
strategy.
say, just for anyone who tries that, I would recommend having bear spray and sticking your hand down its mouth with the bear spray.
Just firing it halfway down its throat.
Like we always say, you should have bear spray before you do that.
Mm-hmm. You should have bear spray, yeah. We will talk about kind of what went wrong and right in this.
This episode of Tooth and Claw is brought to you by Graza. So I've recently been in a little bit of an unspoken competition with Wes. I don't think he even knows what's going on, but we both started cooking for ourselves a lot recently. And one thing that I've noticed is that basically every recipe that's even remotely tempting to me always calls for olive oil. And Graza olive oil has quickly become my olive oil of choice. It's delicious, easy to use extra virgin olive oil at an affordable, everyday price. It tastes super fresh, so natural. I've always been afraid of using oil in my cooking. There's just a certain stigma. I grew up, I don't know if it was the same for all of you, but I always equated oil with unhealthy, not Graza olive oil. It tastes healthy because it is healthy. And healthy eating is something I've prioritized a lot lately. And olive oil is the timeless classic, healthiest fat that I like to add to my meals. It's good for your heart, it's good for your brain, polyphenols, all kinds of stuff. You eat it, it tastes good, it makes you feel good, there's no downside. And you can get 10% off your first order of any olive oil on their site, but I wholeheartedly recommend the Graza Duo. You'll receive 2 bottles of extra virgin olive oil, sizzle for cooking, and drizzle for finishing with an extra kick of bold flavor. So head to graza.co and use Tooth to get 10% off and get to cooking your next chef quality meal. Thanks to Graza Olive Oil for sponsoring this episode.
When I was in my 20s, I noticed that I was starting to wear a hat a lot more. I had a little bit less confidence than before, and I think that's because my hair was thinning. It was kind of scary for that to be happening in my 20s, and I really started looking at different ways that I can make my hair regrow thicker. And recently, I discovered Nutrafol, and it has been helping a lot. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand. It's trusted by over 1.5 million people, and it's really cool because Nutrafol supplements are tailored toward men of any age. The root causes of hair thinning really do change over time, so your routine should too. Like for example, when I was in my 20s, I think my hair thinning was because of stress, and now it's probably just because I'm getting a little bit older. So it's really important that you are attacking your hair thinning change over time. And Nutrafol Men for ages 18 to 49 is to help improve hair growth and achieve thicker, fuller hair in 3 to 6 months. And Nutrafol Men 50 Plus, which is a new product, is the first and only hair growth product specifically formulated for men 50 plus. And the things that I really like about Nutrafol is they have a clinically tested formula. You only have to take 4 pills daily with a meal, and people that take it have seen improved hair growth, decreased shedding, visible thickness while taking Nutrafol. So start Nutrafol today and make the hat optional. Visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code TOOTH for $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code TOOTH. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code TOOTH. All right, so Colin can actually hear the teeth of the bear grating against his bone in his leg. He said it was like the sound of a dog chewing on a big bone, which does sound like you can really hear that when they're chewing on bones.
Yeah.
And he started yelling, "Stop," and "Why" to this bear. He wasn't yelling for help because he didn't think anyone would be in the area, but he was yelling, "Stop," and "Why." And he's starting to think about his family and feeling remorse because he thought he was going to die out there and abandon his family. And he's also thinking about his death and how they're just going to find his rotting corpse in the brush. And then, as he's thinking about all this and things are getting pretty dark, he remembers his pocket knife. It was a buck knife that his dad had picked up at Canadian Tire for 80% off. Have you guys ever been to a Canadian Tire?
Uh-uh.
It's kind of like the Canadian version of Walmart, but a little bit weirder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not what I
it's
would
just
have
like
pictured.
a huge, I know, because you see it and you think tires, like this is an
I was thinking
automotive
like
store.
Big O.
No,
Yeah.
they sell like everything there, but they also sell tires, I believe. You would hope so. But his dad hardly ever gave him gifts just out of the blue like this, but he had given him this knife recently, and he had it in his right-hand pocket. And the bear, as it's chewing on him, is essentially laying down on his stomach, so they're like belly to belly. And he had to kind of push his hands through his and the bear's stomach, like that tiny gap, to try and wiggle them into his other side as the bear's like tearing into his legs and now pulling off strips of flesh. But as, you know, the bear's doing that, he manages to get his hands into his pocket, get this knife, open it with both hands, and then with all of his might, he swings it back and stabs it into the bear's neck.
Oh,
Is that where you would aim if you were in this situation?
I was gonna ask.
Probably.
That, yeah.
I think that, like, I'm trying my hardest to never get into this situation because, you know, we had our episode not long ago about the hunter that killed one with the broadhead arrow, and now we're talking about this knife. And the reason that these stories have trickled to the top is because they worked. But there are plenty of other people out there that have been attacked by bears that have used weapons to try and stop them where it just absolutely has no effect. Even guns can sometimes have no effect at this point. So I would probably aim for the neck or the eye or something, but I don't know. It would be really hard to pick a target.
The 127 hours guy would probably just cut his arm off.
Yeah, cut his own leg off, let the bear have it.
With the knife and then run away. Which is, maybe that would work.
So he
I
does
wouldn't
this. As he stabs this bear in the neck, the bear actually does stop biting. It pulls its head back, and rather than stab the bear again, he just waits to see what would happen next. And I think that was smart. His reasoning there was like, it did what I wanted it to do. It stopped biting me, so I'm not going to stab it again because it stopped. And what actually did happen next was a huge gush of blood came out of the bear's neck and splashed onto Colin. And now, according to Colin, I'm putting that in big letters, he says, "Now you're bleeding too, bear."
That's a good line.
Which is a
You
great
think
line.
he came up with that on the spot?
On the Seth Rogen show, when he said that, Seth Rogen said, "Did you actually say that?" And he said, "I actually said it, and I'm very proud of it." So I think he did. I'm going to give him credit.
I'll give him that. Yeah.
The bear pulls away and slowly walks away from Colin, looking at him and then looking back into the brush. And then Colin takes a second to look at his leg. And when he looks back up, the bear's gone. So Colin at this point knows he needs to do a little bit of wound management quick. So he tears off his shirt sleeve and he makes a tourniquet to tie around his leg. And when he looks at his leg, he kind of sees these weird folds and bumps, and he thinks maybe his pants are bunching up. But what he realizes is that this bear's puncture wounds have brought out a bunch of meat, and he has meat that looks like raw hamburger from his own leg that's laying all over his leg. And that's what he's seeing. And it's funny because this isn't funny.
That
but,
is, yeah.
Yeah, I need to stop saying that.
Hilarious.
One of my colleagues that I trapped grizzly bears with when we were doing research with grizzly bears, he had actually flown a little too close to the sun once while he was trapping, and a bear bit him in the arm, and he didn't really even realize he had been bit because it happened so quick. And he looked at his arm and he thought he had a piece of raw chicken on his arm. And what it was the muscle and the tissue that the bear had pulled out with its tooth when it had bit him. And he was trying to brush it off, and then he realized what it was.
Oh, crazy.
All right. So as we've mentioned quite a bit, Colin is a smaller dude. And at this point, he was actually really grateful.
Probably.
Yeah, way too much.
Cut some of that out.
At this point, he's really grateful for that because he's pretty small and he had small legs, and he called them himself like chicken legs. And I know that pain. I got smaller legs myself. But the nice thing about it was that this sleeve that he had torn off would have been too big had he had bigger legs, but it was just big enough that he could get a granny knot in it and tie it over his legs and make a tourniquet.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so he's kind of like really happy at this point that something his wife had always made fun of him for, his skinny legs, was actually kind of a life-saving thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She'd call them Wednesday legs because she would say like, when's they gonna break or something? I forget. It was like a funny pun that she, yeah.
But if he's bigger, he'd have bigger
that's a good
sleeves too.
That's true. You know, it kind of is but if you got those big old like tree trunk legs like Mike, it doesn't matter how big your sleeve is. You're not
I'd just
getting around
cut
there.
the waist of the shirt.
Yeah.
I was just gonna, maybe he did have huge arms.
That's true.
He could have been
Really
doing
No,
long
he's
arms.
130 pounds.
125.
Yeah, but if he's like 3 feet tall, then that's a big torso. I don't know. He should have just given us his height, because now my imagination's running wild.
He may have in one of these articles, but they all just said that I read said less than 5'8".
What other great benefits are there to having short legs, Wes?
Plane rides are great.
Yeah.
You're just comfortable. I've said this before, I think, on the podcast, but being short kind of sucks when you're in like high school and maybe like college. After that, it's just great. You just fit everywhere nice. You're nice and comfortable all the time. Everything is easier when you're short, I think. Besides like maybe grabbing things on high ledges or whatever, playing basketball. Okay. So he decides that he's probably not going to survive waiting for the logging crew. They might take them hours to get up there, or even days. So he's worried the bear might come back too, and he starts crawling toward his bike. But the gravel on his kneecaps is really bothering him as he's crawling, which he admits is kind of funny because he's completely ripped to shreds by this bear, but the gravel on his kneecaps is bothering him, and his kneecaps are fine.
That is funny.
So he flips over and he uses his better leg to scoot him on his butt back to his bike. But now he has another challenge. Getting on this bike was not easy. So he tries to use his pole to push himself up and onto the bike, but the pole bends and breaks and he crashes back onto the ground. And then he manages to finally climb onto this bike and he starts to pedal and he immediately face plants on the other side of the bike.
No.
But he's not going to give up. Again, Colin is really tough.
Yeah.
And he crawls back onto this bike. He manages to stabilize himself and start pedaling. And he really only pedals with his good leg, and he just uses his mangle leg to keep weight on the other pedal. So it's this really lopsided, clunky bike ride, but he's making time. He's getting through it. And during the ride, he can feel his pants and his bike seat getting warm from all the blood that's spilling out of his body. But he just keeps focusing on getting to the 3-kilometer mark, because that's where a big downhill starts and he can coast down to this logging camp. Sorry, this road's 8 kilometers, not 8 miles. I misspoke earlier.
It'd be like Snow in Former. He's the rapper, probably, because...
See,
Oh, wait, do they use kilometers in Canada? I'm not sure.
They do, yeah.
I was just trying to think of a white Canadian rapper.
even when it was 8 miles, I was kind of like, I don't know if it's worth the effort of kayaking your bike out there. 8 kilometers. It's like, what do you bring a bike just for that 8-kilometer road? But it worked out.
It seems like it's like such a nice grade on the way back, though, that it was just kind of fun to ride it even. But yeah. It's a really harrowing bike ride, as you can imagine. He has to focus on every pedal and concentrate on the horizon. And reading about this part, it seems like he had to summon like a pretty unreal amount of determination and courage to make it downhill. But he finally does. And he coasts down the hill, and he pretty much crashes on the front porch of this logging camp main tent. The men rush out to a really horrific scene. His entire body is covered in puncture wounds and big long gashes. It looks like Freddy Krueger had dragged his hand down his back. His legs are full of large holes that have all this meat hanging out of them. And his side had a huge chunk missing, and you could actually look into his body cavity and get a clear view of his kidney.
No way.
Yeah, which was a new experience for all these loggers. They had never seen anything like that before.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that tracks. It'd be weird if they had.
There's like a guy that's like, oh, I've seen this. That's a
That's
kidney.
nothing.
They rush to patch him up with their first aid kits, and while they're also calling rescue services. And they talk about it like it's kind of that scene in Vegas Vacation where Chevy Chase is plugging holes in the dam, and every time he plugs one, another one starts spurting. That's kind of what's happening.
Visual.
Yeah,
Classic.
That's what's happening with his puncture wounds, is as they cover one, another one would start bleeding more intensely, and they're kind of playing whack-a-mole with his puncture wounds. Colin calls his wife, but she's at the lake, so he just leaves a message. Or no, he doesn't leave a message because he didn't want to scare her. And then he calls his brother and tells him that if he died, he wanted him to know that he may have killed a grizzly bear with a pocket knife, which is like a very brother thing to do. I think that's probably what we would say too. When the paramedics do arrive, they're able to give Colin blood, and they stabilize him and load him onto the helicopter, and he sets off for a hospital in Vancouver. And they do think if they weren't able to give him blood in the field, he probably wouldn't have made it to the hospital. Meanwhile, Colin's wife is getting home from her lake trip. It's almost 8 p.m. on Sunday. She turns the corner, and she sees that Colin's truck wasn't in the driveway, but his brother and his mom's cars were both there. So she gets out of her car, they rush outside, they tell her not to panic, but that Colin had been attacked by a grizzly bear and already being operated in the hospital, which is like, you kind of panic when someone says that to you.
Right.
Especially if they're rushing out to me. And if someone's like running at me, yelling at me to not panic, I'm like, well, I don't kind of panicking.
I'm fixing to panic, actually.
Well, and it's not fair to her too, because like, if she doesn't panic, they'll probably be like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you like taking this more seriously?
That's why, you should be like panic a little bit, but not like that much, but enough to know that we know that you care. Find that perfect little middle ground of panic.
By the time she does get to the hospital in Vancouver, Colin had already undergone over 6 hours of surgery. He had over 50 wounds and gashes. The doctors had to use over 200 staples and stitches to patch him up. His femoral artery in his leg had to be fixed. They couldn't stitch it back together, so they had to use a vein transplant from elsewhere in his body to stitch it up. And then the bear had come millimeters from rupturing his kidney and some of his other internal organs. Following the surgeries, he reunited with his family and got the bad news that the bear had done a large amount of nerve damage to his leg. And the doctors told him he would probably never walk normally again and probably would never be able to walk on a trail without some sort of brace. This happened in the summer of 2019, and in the fall of 2020, Colin had already run a full half marathon.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This guy is sweet. I like Colin.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He also has tried to summit Mount Doogie Dowler again, but wasn't able to because of weather, I think. He's pretty freaking tough. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed by him.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The bear wasn't so lucky. After successfully evading capture for a while, British Columbia wildlife officials managed to capture and euthanize this bear. It was a 4 or 5 year old male bear that weighed about 350 pounds and was in good condition. It most likely would not have died from this stab wound, but I do think the knife saved Colin's life. They do think this was a predatory attack, the people that investigated the incident.
Oh, yeah. So you think it was the right decision to
I do.
get this bear out of there.
Yeah. I think the fact that it approached him when he's on the road and, there was plenty of distance for this bear to turn around and run. The fact that it approached him and then did attack him, that's not typical behavior. It's not atypical, but it's not typical either. So,
yeah. Do you know what's crazy is Americans we're game to use millimeters.
Yeah.
Like we don't really have a universally acknowledged measurement smaller than an inch. So we have to just go to centimeters and millimeters.
That's true.
We gotta get on board, figure out the imperial a little like in the other direction.
Yeah. I go back and forth on that because in some ways I like the imperial system. Especially for temperature, I think it makes more sense. And I know we're gonna have so many comments of people being like 0 degrees though, that makes so much more sense. But like,
right.
I like how fine-grained the imperial system is, but I agree for like millimeters and centimeters, we don't have an answer for that.
We got to come up with a new word.
Yeah.
With Celsius, what temperature is it like hot outside? Like, man, it's so hot.
Like
30?
40 is like when it's unbearably hot to most people. That's like when you're close to 100, right?
See, that's where it's confusing to me. Is like 40 doesn't sound hot. 100 sounds hot.
Yeah.
Right.
But to them, 40 sounds hot.
I don't
They all
know.
grew up with it. Yeah.
To them, 100 means their water's a boiling.
Yeah, that means they're dead. All right. So I want to do a quick recap of what Colin could have done better, what went wrong. Obviously, he tried to have bear spray. He lost it. That happens. You want to have it somewhere secure. You want to make sure that you are thinking about it, making sure it's there. But that's, stuff like this can happen. But having a deterrent is definitely the number one thing. This encounter would have ended at the bear approaching him on his bike had he had a deterrent. It would have been enough to convince this bear. I'm very confident it would have been enough to convince it to leave because you can kind of tell it was approaching him in a measured way. It wasn't, just full on like this is food. It was kind of trying to figure it out. And a blast of bear spray to its face would have been enough to be like, okay, this isn't food. This is a threat, a bad threat, a threat I want to run away from. So that's first.
Well, sometimes we eat things that are a threat to us, like the puffer fish.
Sure. Fugu.
People are like, it's worth it. Yeah, try eating one of these puffer fish.
Makes it better.
Yeah. I mean, this could be the 1 in a million bear that just is like, just goes through the spray and still mauls him, Another thing that I think the big crux of this one that is the big question mark is what he should have done with his bike when the bear was right there and it was super close. I tend to think like riding away from this bear may have worked. Had he just like, as it was kind of getting close, had he just jumped on his bike and tried to get by it and ride down the hill, it may have worked. I don't know though. Again, you're at a point where it's kind of like you don't have any good options. So I don't disagree with his plan to throw the bike at the bear, but he didn't have a good option at that point, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's, I don't know. I almost feel like just try to fly by it on your bike.
Yeah. It maybe would have been the right thing to do.
I know that could like trigger, that's like definitely hindsight. Had the bear split decision to attack him, we'd be like, oh, you shouldn't have gone flying past it on your bike. Yeah. But then it's like, I don't know, maybe that would have worked.
Yeah. And up until that point, aside from not having deterrent, he'd kind of done things right. He had yelled, he had let the bear know he was there. He had tried to be really big and kind of, intimidating when the bear was approaching him. I don't think this was a bear that was just trying to walk this trail and get by him. In that case, what he would have wanted to do was just kind of move off the road or the trail and let the bear have it and get up into the brush and let it go by. I think this bear was investigating him. So there wasn't a good option because he didn't have a deterrent. And this is why you always need something to give you control.
So brown bears, one of the strategies is to slowly back away and not break eyesight.
The eyesight thing, don't worry about. Yeah.
Don't worry about the eyesight, but like slowly moving away from. So had he maybe left his bike and backed away just his body, would that have been something you would recommend maybe?
Had I been in this particular situation, I think what I would have done, had I yelled and the bear just kept coming, I would have tried to throw something from my backpack, grabbed some food really quick and thrown it to try and distract it, I probably would have taken my bike with me just because it's like a faster mode of transportation, and I would have backed away slowly.
Okay.
So the 3 things I always tell people are group up, get your bear spray out and get it ready, and back away slowly. But if you have a bear that is potentially predatory, which we know is incredibly rare, you're going to have to deter that bear. That's not a bear that like backing away is going to work, or grouping up might work in that situation, but backing away isn't really going to. So that's why you need a deterrent, is if in case you run to this kind of bear, which doesn't happen much, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Also, listeners, there's some hammering. I'm in my closet and there's no walls connecting to it. So I'm tripping out that someone's like on the ceiling or something. I don't know where this hammering's coming from, if you heard it, but that's on my end.
Yeah.
Maybe my mom's in your place now. Tired of watching me.
She was always hammering.
She's like, Mike just sits there on his computer doing nothing all day. We gotta go find someone new to haunt.
No, dude, that's who you need to haunt.
Just
like someone who just watches stuff.
Let's move on to our categories, unless you guys have any other questions.
Yeah, no, that was a really interesting one.
Yeah, I like that story quite a bit. Colin seems just like the type of person that I always admire, and I always feel like that couldn't be me, like way too much, way too intense, but also like really admirable how much he just needs to be out there doing all that stuff. So
like
Survivor.
I think the hindsight stuff's interesting on it, where it's like, obviously losing the bear spray and not going and finding it was the biggest mistake, and is interesting too because it's like he knew that he messed up by not bringing some, and then he was given that lifeline just to lose it again. So it's like, I solved the problem and then I got myself right back into where I was.
Yeah.
But then, like I think he could have maybe flown past the bear. I think he could have maybe like used the bike as more of a barrier than to like throw it at the bear. Mm-hmm. There's things you could nitpick, but that being said, for not having bear spray, it's like that bear was acting really strangely too, where it's just kind of brushing up against him, not attacking him. So it's kind of like you don't want to do too much, but you also like can't just like do nothing.
Right. And like we've talked about, there are things that are going to work for almost every bear out there. But there are still going to be bears that act differently, and that's why you need something that works for all of them. And that's what a deterrent does for you, is it gives you the upper hand in 99.9% of those encounters. And there still could be a bear that a deterrent doesn't even work. But
if we pretend that bear's a human for a sec, or like under the same laws as humans, he kind of attacked first. The bear kind of self-defense.
Yeah, in a way. I guess that's true.
Like the bear never attacked him until he chucked his bike at it.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Okay.
Extreme miscarriage of justice that this bear was put down, I think, right?
That's not exactly what I'm saying, but I do think it's interesting, like, just hypothetically, what would have played out had he not thrown the bike at the bear.
Yeah.
Every group has someone who insists on doing things the hard way. I'm trying to think if that would be me, Wes, or Mike. Probably me, honestly. The person still paying for a subscription they forgot they had. That one refusing to update their phone because it still works. And especially when it comes to overpaying for wireless. But just switch to Mint Mobile and you'll be so glad that you did. Stop paying way too much for wireless just because that's how it's always been. Mint exists purely to fix that. Same coverage, same speed, just without the inflated price tag. And for a limited time, get 50% off 3, 6, or 12-month plans of unlimited premium wireless. Bring your own phone number, activate with an eSIM in minutes, and start saving immediately. No long-term contracts, no hassle. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today for a limited time. Get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/tooth. That's mintmobile.com/tooth. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. That's a $15 a month equivalent. That's so cheap. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabyte may slow when the network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. Additional terms apply. See mintmobile.com.
One thing that I've found that's true about getting older and becoming an adult is that you really learn that a lot of things you maybe thought were a problem that just you were having is actually a problem that a lot of people are having. And ED is definitely one of those things. It's much more common than you might think, and luckily, it's simpler to treat than ever. Up until recently, you'd have to get a doctor's appointment. It could be embarrassing. It kind of just felt like this whole thing you had to go through to get your ED treated. And now with HIMS, you can do it in minutes online. It's super discreet, and it's going to make a world of difference for your sex life, for your confidence, for everything. HIMS offers access to ED treatment options ranging from personalized products to trusted generics that cost 95% less than brand names if they're prescribed. And the thing that's important to remember is this really isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of care. It's your health and your goals that are put first with real medical providers, making sure you get exactly what you need to get results. And when it comes to ED, that's what we're looking for is results, right? So you can think of HIMS as your digital front door that gets you back to your old self. And I will say too, I've liked a lot of their products. Their hair products are really great too. There's just a lot of really good stuff on the HIMS webpage. So to get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/tooth. That's hims.com/tooth for your free online visit. hims.com/tooth. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Okay, let's move on to our categories. I asked you guys first your favorite short king. This can be from real life, from movies, from TV, whatever you want.
Yeah, if I'm going to take it real literal, I'll probably say like Joffrey or from Game of Thrones or...
Joffrey's your favorite? Oh, short king? I get what
Tiny
you're saying.
little guy.
Napoleon.
He wasn't a
He's
king.
a good one.
Emperor.
He was for a little bit, wasn't he?
He was emperor. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't looking for an actual king. Favorite short guy from movies or TV.
I didn't find a king, but I did find a prince. His name is Prince.
Oh yeah, Prince was pretty short.
He's tiny. He's like 5'2", I think, which isn't tiny, but he's a little guy.
And
Sex symbol.
Skinny too. Yeah.
Man,
hot.
love that guy.
He transcended being short and not being sexy, He didn't
I think
need
plenty
to
of
be tall.
people are out there doing that. Yeah.
I picked Josh Hutcherson, PETA from the Hunger Games. He's a short guy. He's like 5'5", and I don't know. I've always liked him. I think whenever he pops up in a movie, I kind of get happy that he's there. I think he's a fun actor, and I think he's great in those movies. So that's who I picked. Old Josh.
Hold on, I just had one I liked a lot, and then that.
I'll throw out some
in
names.
my brain.
Bruce Lee.
Jeremy Renner's short. I don't like him.
Barry
Bad
Sanders.
guy.
Kendrick Lamar's pretty small.
Tom Holland.
Oh, Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
Bogues, yeah.
Bogues, yeah. Like, he was like 5 feet tall, and he was a starting point guard in the NBA.
A little taller than that, but
It's
yeah.
like 5'6", right?
He's in Space Jam, so
Yeah.
he's got supreme talent if the Monstars are trying to steal it.
That's true. All right, next category. If you had a kid that's a 14-year-old mega prodigy, kind of like Doogie Howser, what would you want him or her to be really good at?
Pitching a baseball left-handed, specifically. I think that's the way. It's like a non-contact sport. Pitchers, I don't know, it just seems like a good lifestyle for your child to have. And hopefully they'll kick back some of that ace pitcher money our way, since we treated him very nicely and we're very supportive of his athletic endeavors.
Yeah, they couldn't really monetize that at 14, though. They'd have to wait until they're like 18, right, to join the MLB?
I guess that's true, huh? Shoot, I'm going to have to rethink that. Cooking?
Ooh, that's a good answer. Like just an incredible chef that's just running an Unreal restaurant, and then they're 14. People would come from all over the world. Yeah, I like that.
Curling?
Curling. Okay.
Curling is a good answer.
Interesting.
No, I think like the long jump would be thrilling.
That would be thrilling.
This kid who I love so much, just jumping 200 feet, and I'm just terrified every single jump. But
So,
it'd be like,
not a prodigy, but like a superhero is kind of what you're thinking.
well, they jump like 180 feet, don't they?
Long jump?
Long jump.
Oh, like
no,
on skis.
on like skiing. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. That would be fun.
Yeah, skiing long jump. I don't think I said that. Yeah, like the long jump in the Winter Olympics, if he could just like, it'd be heart racing for sure. It'd be kind of
It'd be really fun.
I picked free diving. Like, I just think it'd be cool if a kid, like a little kid, could just free dive deeper than anyone else in the world. That's kind of a boring answer. I like Mike's answer the best. I think a chef would be pretty cool. I always think it's cool when really little kids are just amazing at skateboarding too. And I always think they have good parents to give them such a cool hobby to get into at a young age, because it's cool, and then it's going to make you like popular if you're really good at skateboarding, you know?
Or if you had a prodigy hacker, you'd be safe from dinosaurs.
She can like click
Chess.
boxes that are labeled.
Yeah.
Chess prodigies are always fun, where it's like a little kid playing like some
That's true.
grandmaster.
Bobby Fischer.
Yeah.
I like that. Or like a painter would be cool. Anyway. All right. Next one. What's the most useful present you ever got from your dad?
Mine's boring, but I couldn't think of anything better than my first car.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Well, and my first car was your car.
No.
And then Cyrus's as well, the convertible Mazda.
Didn't you had a red car for your first car, didn't you?
Hold on. My first
Okay.
car was your car and
Okay.
Cyrus's. And then when Cyrus drove it to give it to me, like the engine exploded and it was
Okay.
totaled. And it was like, my parents still paid for it, but they were nice enough to still get me a car that I actually could do. So it was a red Toyota Celica.
Yeah. One thing I really liked about our parents and my dad specifically is that he wanted us to have fun cars for our first car and not necessarily expensive. Like, I had a 1980 Camaro for my first car, but it
Sweet.
cost $900. It had a hole in the floor that water would splash up through. But it was so fun, and I loved it so much, and it had a lot of character, and I really, really appreciated that he didn't just buy me like a Neon or something, you know, like something, or what's a boring car?
RAV4.
Yeah, I do. I have a RAV4 now, and they are boring. Yeah. Mike, what's your answer?
Mine, you guys can tell me if this doesn't count, but I truly believe the best thing my dad ever gave me was just the emotional support to pursue and do whatever I wanted to pursue and do. Like, obviously not criminal activity, but he and my mom also, but my dad very specifically, he was always really excited and very supportive and wanted me to pursue new experiences and try new and different things. So thanks, Dad. You're the best.
All right, Jeff, this category is just for you because I know you're going to have the best answer. I want to hear your Instagram pic from this story. What part of this story do you want a photo from to post on your Instagram?
Yeah. Oh, man. Because, like, a video of it walking right by you would be really cool. Like, it'd be like, you could get a pretty funny picture of the bike in the air, like, going at the bear.
That's true.
I like that.
That'd be a good one.
He wished he had a camera when it was walking by him. So that's kind
Yeah.
of what I thought too. But you're right, a video would be much more
I think
effective for
I'd
that.
want a picture of me hanging sideways out of the bear's mouth.
like
That's
a
like a
selfie.
gnarly thing, but it would be kind of a fun thing to be able to show people. It's like, here's the bear, and this is me.
Yeah.
That'd be the funniest, like, taking a video of yourself, like, not living in the moment.
Yeah.
You're just, like, on your phone taking a video, being like, so, look at this
OMG.
bear.
So you're probably wondering how I got here. All right.
People are
I wanna-
like, he's not even looking at the bear, he's looking at his phone. He's not
Of
even
course he's on his
experiencing
phone.
it.
World's out
Millennial.
here, buddy.
Yeah. All right. I want to do a quick, it came from Quora. part of me just feels like dying a little bit when I'm a bear biologist and I'm typing, "Can you kill a bear with a knife?" into Quora. But
Yeah.
here's the answer I got that I liked the most. You probably could kill the bear if you could get inside it without, which is a little weird to say, without striking you with a cut or two or bite that would kill you later. Not likely, though. Forget about direct confrontation. Here's a way that it might work. You have baited the area with berries and yams. make everything smell like berries and yams. Or make everything smell like female bear, which is easy to do. Climb on top of a deer stand or high up in a tree and wait. Have your knife ready. If the bear gives you an opportunity to land on its back, then take it. Jump down on its back near the neck and gut its neck. Gut its neck.
Gut.
Okay, wait. You have to be quick or you may not get the chance. Now in all caps. In all caps. I wouldn't do it, but if you insist, how does that sound?
Well, I got belligerent by the end.
Back to lowercase. You could make an extremely long ladder like spear out of the knife that allows you to spear its neck from high up. Back to all caps. That sound better? That's the end of it.
I like that. Yeah. Smart.
Great from Came to Quora on this
Got
one.
a couple of really good ideas there.
Yeah.
Just whip out your essence of female bear and spray it around.
Berries and yams.
Do bears like yams? I guess they would.
I'm sure they'd like it, but my favorite is just ending in all caps. That sound better. It's just very antagonistic.
I feel like it's a thing too where bears, like in cartoons and whatever, like jam. And I think they just confused yams with jams.
Yeah. This sounds like maybe not a first language English speaker, but I also just love, I wouldn't do it, but if you insist, how does that sound?
Yeah.
With an exclamation point and a question mark.
I need to follow that Quora user and see what other questions they're answering.
This was user Marcus Mitchell, comic book buff, grew up reading comics, watching them, etc. All right, I've got your favorite thing of the month. So just to kind of, I want you guys to throw out something you've been really enjoying so far in February.
I've been really having a good time with those Dots pretzels, specifically the cinnamon ones. Have you guys tried those? Oh my gosh. They're all good. Like every flavor's good. Yeah, there's just like a tall bag of Dots.
Sorry.
Yeah. And for some reason, the cinnamon just never made sense to me in my brain. I finally like sprung for them because it was the one flavor I hadn't tried yet. It's like kind of my favorite. They're really, really sweet and sugary, but just a small handful is like heaven on the old tongue. Oh.
I hate being in like a winter city where there's no winter. So Salt Lake this winter kind of sucks. Like it's just ugly and not warm. But one nice thing was it has been playing golf. So like yesterday I went to the golf course. And normally you couldn't ever play this time of year, but you can right now. Mm-hmm. And I just went on. It's like in the summer in Salt Lake, it's so hard to get tee times. Like they fill up so fast, and then it's like I'll have to play with random people, and I don't really want to do that. And it's just like a whole annoying process. And so yesterday I just showed up. And I was like, hey, can I play golf? And they're like, yeah, do you want to go on right now? I was like, sure. And I go on. There's no one in front of me, no one behind me. It's just the entire course to myself. And it was like really fun just to have like, do whatever you want on a golf course.
Does sound fun.
Like, yeah.
That's like when you have a movie theater all to yourself.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I hit a bad drive. Guess what? Just hit another one.
Just do another one.
No one's watching.
Yeah.
Except my mom.
I had a friend recommend a show to me called Culinary Class Wars. It's a Korean show. It's kind of like Physical 100 if you've seen Physical 100, but it's for chefs.
Oh, I've seen Physical 100.
Yeah. On a lot of these shows, they're kind of like on cooking shows, you're kind of getting these real like mid-tier chefs and stuff, but this is like they have gotten the best chefs in the entire country of South Korea, and sometimes chefs that are from South Korea but are cooking in other places, and they have them competing against like really up and coming amazing chefs from South Korea. And it's grabbed me like no other cooking show really has. And I think part of it is because they are making food that is disgusting to me, because I hate seafood and I like don't want, they'll be like making the most delicious looking like noodle bowl, and then they'll be like, and my next ingredient is sea cucumber, and they pull out this like slimy sea cucumber and chop it up, but they make it look really beautiful. And it's just given me a new appreciation for Korean culture and cooking, and it's made me want to cook more too, which is good for me. So yeah, culinary class war. Plus, you know me, I love a class war.
What? Yeah. So why is it called class war?
Because they have like the white robe chefs that are like the really, really amazing chefs that have like Michelin stars and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have the black robe chefs that are like they all own their own restaurants that have like lines out the door, and they're amazing chefs, but they haven't gotten quite to that level, and they compete against each other.
Like they literally put the white robe chefs on like a higher level, and they're looking down on them. Like in the first episode. Yeah. It's a fun show. I haven't finished season 1 yet, but I'm having a really good time with it.
Yeah. Okay. I got a few listener questions today. We haven't done them for a minute, so I wanted to catch up on a few from our subscribers. This one's from Crystalline. Crystalline says, what non-Lord of the Rings character do you think could handle wearing the ring?
Ooh.
Captain America.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Pure of heart. Yeah.
Luffy.
Jesus.
Straw Hat Luffy.
George Washington.
Jesus is an interesting one.
Jesus would be... I mean, if everything we've heard about him is to be believed, I think he'd be a pretty good candidate, right?
I wouldn't risk it, though, because if he becomes corrupted, then, like, aren't we all pretty much damned?
That's true. Like Gandalf, he didn't want any of that. Yeah.
No.
You kind of need like a small, diminutive little... You need someone like Colin, to be honest. Give Colin the ring.
Dobby.
Oh, yeah. Colin.
Dobby. Yeah.
Dobby could wear it.
Nah, he's like mischievous. He's stealing stuff and spying on people already.
Yeah.
How about Dumbo? You think Dumbo would be a good ring bearer?
No.
I don't remember Dumbo enough.
He can fly, and he's like a nice little elephant, just kind of pure of heart. I think he'd be great.
Yeah,
he'd just fly right into the volcano.
That's true. He'd just fly right into that magma, too. He doesn't care.
No.
All right.
Yeah,
that's reckless. A good question.
What about like Woody from Toy Story?
No, he's too paranoid. Too high strung. He's
a little neurotic.
Yeah, if anything, the dog from I think any dog
Slinky
could carry it. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine corrupted Woody. That you'd be on a warpath.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's like I'm not that threatened by him.
That's true. Just crush him.
But think of the Buzz Lightyears. They'd be in trouble.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. This one's from Jessica. Jessica says, regarding Japan, Mike, what's your favorite anime figurine you bought? Wes, what's your favorite bird you saw? Jeff, as a traveler and an adventurer, what was your favorite thing about Japan that you haven't experienced anywhere else?
So anime figurine, I don't know if I've ever actually bought one of those for myself, but I will say this is maybe down a road a little too far removed from that to answer this question legitimately, but I bought a bomber jacket with the Final Fantasy VII insignia on the back of it. It's like a little Moogle riding a chocobo, and that's like my favorite purchase I've made in maybe my entire life.
I wanted it, but I didn't know the symbol at all, and then it's perfect for Mike. Also, I kind of bought it. Wes, do you want to hear how we settled our debts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of cut you out of it for just settling our own debts, right?
Yeah.
And I paid a lot more than Mike paid for Japan, and then a bit more than Brent, too. But we didn't really know exactly how much. Instead of like looking through it all, I was just like, let's pick 4 numbers, and then we smash for it. So like we did 1,000, 800, 700, and 500 with Mike, and 700, the second least he would owe me 1.
Yeah.
And then after it won, we kind of figured out that I paid up for a lot in Singapore and all these other spots. And it was actually like pretty, like it had 1,001. That would have been about fair.
Yeah.
And then with Brent, we figured he owed me about $300. And I put the lowest option that I owe him $100. And that won. So I paid Brent $100.
That's great.
Spotted him $100 more. Yeah.
That's so
I'll
funny.
I'll get you back, Jeff. I know you're going to say don't,
No, it's
but I'll
fair.
find a way.
It's fair. Anyways, in Japan, one of my favorite things was just finding a random building and just riding the escalators, because every single floor would just have like pop-up shops and then like restaurants, and then just like there's just so many like cool stores that you have to kind of discover.
Yeah.
Like that was
Could
my
spend
thing that I
years in
liked.
Tokyo without seeing everything.
My suggestion would be don't go too hard on, there's a million Instagram people suggesting what you should do out there, but like make sure to just like try to find some hidden spots yourself too, because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. My favorite bird I saw, I didn't do much birding in Japan, but I saw an azure-winged magpie that I really liked. So that was my favorite
You
bird.
like those ducks a lot too.
Yeah. But the azure-winged magpie was my favorite. Okay.
What were the ducks?
They're just redheads, I think, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This one's from Krista. Twofold question for all three of you. But I'm actually just going to say the first part of it. Sorry, Krista. Would you rather be attacked by a bear while you're wearing a scuba suit, a snowsuit, or a fancy business suit?
Snow.
Business suit.
I'll say scuba.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel
does
like the neoprene would hold in a lot of the blood and stuff.
Neoprene.
So that's why I picked that.
Do you have like the BC and the tank and everything else on? Because
I imagine so. That's
be
part of your
useful to
scuba
have
suit.
some of those. Yeah, the little.
You could spray air at it.
Exactly.
I feel like the paramedics are going to go a little faster to get me help.
If you're fancy. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look like
I'd be like, wow,
That would
you're
be top
handsome.
priority.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I got one more here. This is from Shauna. Hey, fellas, if you were being mauled to death by an animal, what song do you want to be mauled to?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bing.
Kendrick.
Kendrick. I like that. I mean, another one bites the dust is what my mind went to, but that's kind of cliche. But I'll just say that because I didn't really think about it. Mike, what are you picking?
It's Raining Blood by Slayer.
That's a good one. Yeah. Wait and Bleed by Slipknot.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Malu says, Wes, can you explain why people are taking frozen iguanas in South Florida? I watch videos of people getting like hundreds of them. Is that legal? Do they eat them? I'm very confused and upset. I understand why you're upset, but these green iguanas are actually highly invasive in southern Florida. They are doing very well down there, and they're really kind of pushing a lot of the native wildlife out of the same habitat. So people are encouraged to remove iguanas in Florida, and when it gets too cold, they literally just kind of fall out of the trees.
Yeah, it's
and they'll
crazy.
be on lawns and stuff. Yeah. So that's what people are doing, is they're removing them. It is kind of sad. You can eat them, I believe, and I think they actually taste pretty well, or taste pretty good. But yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it seems like something you should shame someone for. Like, why are you killing all this wildlife? But it's like they're kind of protecting the native wildlife. And it's maybe they're being a little disrespectful about it, but ultimately it's kind of a good thing. It's crazy how many fell out of trees. I saw people with like 50 iguanas and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's so many iguanas down there now. So really, there are never going to not have iguanas down there anymore. But okay, well, that is it for the story. Like I mentioned, we have a really fun two-parter coming up soon. We have some fun guests on the horizon. Really excited about the next few months for our podcast. We're going to Antarctica, which is going to be all three of ours last continent, which is exciting. And yeah, Jeff just did a really fun review of the movie Primate on our Patreon and our Apple Grizz Club. It definitely went off the rails, but it was a really fun episode that I really enjoyed. So check it out.
Yeah. No, even if you didn't see the movie, it's a fun episode. And I think I'm going to follow it up with my next subscription episode is going to be real chimpanzee stories too. So
cool.
That'd be
great.
Good.
All right.
Follow us on
everyone.
YouTube too. How about that?
Yeah.
You get to see our faces when we do this kind of thing, when we record. Face.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you.
See ya.